God is truly amazing. The heavens declare the glory of God. The skies proclaim the work of his hands. Day after day they pour forth speech. Night after night they reveal knowledge. They have no speech. They use no words. No sound is heard from them. Yet their voice goes out into all the earth, their words to the ends of the world. In the heavens God has pitched a tent for the sun. It is like a bridegroom coming out of his chamber, like a champion rejoicing to run his course. It rises at one end of the heavens and makes its circuit to the other. Nothing is deprived of its warmth. Psalm 19 verses 1 through 6. Hello, my friend. This is Clyde. I am in a season where I am learning God all over again. It's fascinating. I am fascinated at who God is, what God can do, what God desires of us, what is God doing as the future races towards us. God is truly amazing. That is what I want our conversation to be about today. Come along with me, therefore. Let us get to know some more about this great and wonderful God who we serve. I came across a beautiful phrase in relation to God, and I would love to start there. Before I share the origin of the phrase I have in mind, let me just say that this statement comes in the middle of Paul's wrestling with people's dismissal of the existence of God, when everything around us points to a supernatural being. In fact, Paul says that we don't have any excuse not to turn our full attention to God. But listen to the statement nonetheless. For since the creation of the world, God's invisible qualities, his eternal power and divine nature have been clearly seen, being understood from what has been made, so that people are without excuse. Romans 1 and verse 20. If Paul was testifying of the authenticity of God in a modern day court, they would be mesmerized at how brilliantly he points the courtroom to the magnificence he highlights in God's masterful creation of the world. If you want to know if there's a God, if you want to determine how absolutely amazing God is, then take a note of God's invisible qualities around you, his eternal power and divine nature on display. That is the sweetest language that got to me when I read that verse. He is deliberate in calling it God's invisible qualities because nowhere is there evidence that God built the earth from raw material, that God purchased or borrowed material from another planet to make this planet. Simply amazing. And God's invisible qualities are continuously on display, especially as you hear the fine language that David uses as he marvels at the dramatic way the heavenly bodies speak of their divinely inspired glory, and the night time gives us tons of information, all pointing back to the sheer power and invisible qualities of our God. Did you hear what he said of the majestic sun? In the heaven, God has pitched a tent for the sun. It is like a bridegroom coming out of his chambers, like a champion rejoicing to run his course. It rises at one end of the heavens and makes its circuit to the other. Nothing is deprived of its warmth. Psalm 19 verses 4 to 6. Let's move away from the actual creation process and let us examine and explore what was created by God and see how practical it is for us to go back to the passage we started off with. The writer of Psalm 19 starts off with the evidence of the invisible qualities of God. He talks about the heavens that declare the glory of God, the skies proclaiming the work of his hands. Don't pretend as if you've never gazed in the night skies and you are or were just in awe at what you saw. Stars suspended in space and the elegant moon gliding across the skies, never colliding with any piece of creation. And who is responsible for all that beauty and systems that operate with such precision and repetition? To whom will you compare me, or who is my equal, says the Holy One. Lift up your eyes and look to the heavens. Who created all these? He who brings out the starry hosts one by one and calls forth each of them by name. Because of his great power and mighty strength, not one of them is missing. Isaiah 40 verses 25 and 26. invisible qualities at work from the first day of creation, thousands and thousands of years ago, until today. And still we get a front row seat to feast our eyes and minds on the delightful display of these heavenly bodies that function in such supernatural order. But then we don't want to spend the whole time gazing into outer space. Let me therefore direct your attention to the greatest wonder of life on this earth, and that has to do with the mystery of the birth of another human being into the world. For you created my inmost being. You knit me together in my mother's womb. I praise you because I am fearfully and wonderfully made. Your works are wonderful. I know that full well. My frame was not hidden from you when I was made in the secret place, when I was woven together in the depths of the earth. Your eyes saw my unformed body. All the days ordained for me were written in your book before one of them came to be. Psalm 139 verses 13 to 16. You cannot, in fairness, argue against the invisible qualities of an amazing God. All by himself, God implemented one system of how to make babies with the finest of raw material contributed from a man and from a woman. And even before then, God was already at work creating those details necessary for a bouncing baby boy or a beautiful baby girl to appear in this world 9 months later. The invisible qualities of an amazing God. So what was all of this about? Great question. How can you live your life pretending that you don't know about God and choosing not to serve him? Who is like this God? Who can stand near him as an alternative? We ought to get smart and honor God daily. We ought to acknowledge that there is none to be compared to the God we have been talking about. If you really want to have a good and exciting life, put your trust and confidence in this amazing God. I close with this line as a final effort to convince you that you ought to serve God. God is able to do immeasurably more than all we could ever imagine according to his power. Ephesians 3 and verse 20. So join with me as we close off this chat today with this indisputable acclamation. God is truly amazing.